It seems to me that there's a lot of people out there that aren't comfortable with being alone. And it's led to this loneliness epidemic, not because we don't have people around. I mean, trust me, the world is more connected and is quote unquote smaller than it's ever been. And yet people seem to be lonelier and lonelier. Here's what I think the problem is that people don't develop comfort with being alone. Let me be clear here. Not comfort with being lonely, 'cause that's a completely different thing. Comfort with being alone. If you think about it, we're constantly on a dopamine fix. We're constantly putting ourselves in situations where we have to be stimulated. If we're not constantly scrolling on our phones and checking out social media, we're constantly watching videos, whether on YouTube, watching shows, watching movies, watching everything on demand, constantly listening to music, constant chatter around us. What I'm trying to say is it's healthy for any person to spend intentional time alone with silence. There's some good reasons for that. First and foremost, you want to spend as much unobstructed time, as you can with God. Now, I've heard many times, friends, fellow churchgoers in my congregation talks about that they don't know how to pray, which I gotta call it out is pretty ridiculous. But when you break it down, it's probably because they haven't taken any time to actually focus on prayer. They maybe do it once a week on Sunday with somebody who went to seminary who's doing all the talking for them, and they don't spend intimate time alone with their own thoughts, confronting God, with their own feelings, with their own desires, with their own worship of Him. They don't do that because they're too busy with all this other noise going around. Now, yes, I know some of that noise is things that you can't help. If you got young kids and they're crying or they're making a bunch of noise, if you're driving, you hear traffic, cars, horns honking all around you and stuff like that. But I bet you just about any person, if they really tried, could sneak away somewhere and find 5 to 10 minutes of silent meditative prayer that they could take. And that's what I think everybody can do to combat that busyness going on. And I think that would be a good step in the direction of getting over all this loneliness that everyone feels. Because I think part of it is just not that people are lonely in the sense of not having friends or people around them to comfort or support them. There's plenty of people around. Last I checked, there's 8 billion people around this world. You'll find people if you just go out and look. They might not be exactly to your standards, but there's people out there. The problem is when those people leave, when everyone goes home, when we close up shop for the night, people don't know what to do for themselves. And we trained ourselves, especially here in modern times, we've trained ourselves to be constantly stimulated even when there's no other people around. That's why we stay up watching videos and doom scrolling and playing games, all that kind of stuff, because we're just uncomfortable with the silence. And that's really not healthy, because for most of human history, silence and quietness, and I'll even say boredom, was a regular thing. Nowadays we're so used to having everything given to us at the snap of a finger that we can't bear to be silent, quiet, and have things just be unobtrusive for even a short period of time. We have poor memories, we have poor recollection, and we claim it's anxiety. And by the way, all these psychiatrists out here are making a killing because if they can keep pumping these pills at you, these drug pushers with lab coats and plaques on their walls, if they can just keep doing that and say that you're anxious when all that you need is to, maybe push your phone away for a while, or maybe go for a walk out in nature, out in the woods somewhere, maybe take the headphones out of your ears. Maybe if you did that, I'm not saying it's the be all end all, but it could help set you in the right direction. But a lot of people don't even know how to do that. You watching this video, when's the last time that you took 10 to 15 minutes straightforward of just quiet. Phones on silent, no notifications, no TV blaring in the background, no music in the headphones, no horns honking and cars driving by, people blabbering in your ear. When's the last time you did that? You probably can't think of it. And if you did, it was too minimum. And if it did happen, you're probably thinking of a million things that you had to do. Learn to meditate. Learn to pray. Learn about focused silence. In other words, learn to be comfortable with being by yourself. Now, it will take time for you to get used to it. It takes practice. Most people, I would say, it probably take a few months. Because even me, it took me a few months before I got more comfortable and acclimated with meditating. But it's something that I do every day. But once you do it over time, you'll be comfortable with being lonely, or excuse me, being alone, I should say. Like, you'll be like, hey, if I have to sit here in this waiting room, if I have to sit here in a field somewhere and nobody else is around me or talks to me for a certain amount of time, I'm going to be okay. You start to appreciate the things around you, the minimal sounds that you can hear, birds chirping, the wind blowing some leaves, maybe some small animals, something like that out in nature. You'll gain more of an appreciation for that. And by the way, all the stuff I'm talking about is not some hippie crap. I can't stand any of that. I don't want you going out there like hugging trees and singing Kumbaya and, wearing smelly clothing. But I'm just saying there is some value in just being quiet, just being in meditation, spending time focusing on prayer, and just appreciating all the good that God has brought you. You're too busy. And it's not making you feel any less lonely. If anything, it's making you feel more lonely because you're not comfortable with yourself. Here's my challenge to you, person watching this video. Set some time every day to be silent in meditation and prayer. And I'm not saying like an hour. I'm not even saying 30 minutes. I'm not even saying 15 minutes. I'm saying 3 to 5 minutes. If you can't find, I don't even say to 5, I'll say 3. If you can't find 3 minutes in your day to just be quiet and have quiet around you, 1, you're not looking close enough. 2, you're BSing me and BSing yourself. And 3, you're honestly not trying hard enough. It's really not that hard. You can find 3 minutes a day. Now, if you've been lied to and told that you can only meditate and only have peace when you have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and that's the only time that you can do it, you're being lied to. And a lot of you I know are busy, legitimately busy, like you're working, you've got all kinds of things going on, but I bet you can carve little dabs of time, little chunks of time out there to do this. Trust me, it helps a lot. A lot of you don't take advantage of it. Whenever you do have a free silent moment, you're on your phone buying stuff on Amazon and scrolling social media. That's not silence. Even if it's not making any noise, your brain isn't silent. Your gears are firing. Take some time. Go on YouTube. There's a ton of meditative exercises. You could type it in the search bar and save yourself a ton of time. There's tons of books on it. There's tons of literature. It really doesn't take that long. Quick Google search. And instead of you, wasting time spending more money on stuff that you don't need, scrolling on Amazon and Temu and stuff, you could just take a couple minutes to focus and breathe, say a prayer of appreciation towards God, and keep it moving like that. It doesn't have to be rocket science, and it doesn't have to be for long bouts of time. But I promise you, when you get in the regular practice of doing that and getting comfortable with aloneness and silence, you'll have a better appreciation, 1, for peace and quiet, and you won't have to like turn up all the loud ratchet music all the time. 2, you'll have an appreciation for the handful of people that are true friends, that are true confidants, that bring joy to your life. Like, I get so much joy from my wife and my kids, and that's a small handful of people. Almost to the point where I I've almost scared myself a few times because I've thought to myself, like, really, if I disappeared off the grid and it was just me and, a couple people in my family, or even if it was just me, myself, in the grand scheme of things, like, I'd be totally comfortable. I wouldn't be like, I wonder what so and so's thinking about me. I wonder what is going on in the news. I wonder what is going on with my favorite sports team. Like, I would be totally cool. In fact, something that I plan, and me and my wife both do this, is planning separate time um, every year for a few days to just be alone. Like, I'll rent an Airbnb or I'll go camp somewhere and just be alone for several days. No phone, no work, bugging me with tasks, no checking my emails, no one screaming all up in my ear, no one flicking me off in traffic. And it is nice. And I make the most of that time and I savor it. And I think you could benefit from that too. But if you don't have the PTO to do it, or if there's too much going on that you can't do it for an extended period of time, that's okay, my friend. You can spend literally 3 minutes a day in just quiet meditation and just silence and prayer. It is possible. It won't end your world. Everything's not going to shut down. The person that is calling you or texting you will get over it. Just try it out sometime. I'm telling you, you practice it more and more, you'll be more comfortable with just being alone for extended periods of time. Or when you're waiting for something, like maybe you're in line for something, you're at a doctor's office or something, try it sometime. Try it instead of immediately going towards the impulse of looking face down and taking to your phone. Let's chill. Be silent. Be quiet. Meditate. Be observant of your surroundings. Just kind of, look around, be silent. Who knows what turns into that? You could have a pleasant conversation with somebody that you never would have talked to because you're buried in your phone. You could pray with somebody who really needs prayer at a tough time. You could see and make an observation that makes you laugh or really makes you smile. You could just bask in the peace of the situation. Take some time to show God how much you appreciate him. Those are the things you do when you're comfortable with being alone. But guys, I think it's imperative that you learn how to do this. This is a very important skill to learn. Because if you don't, you'll always be, I don't want to say a victim, but you'll always be sort of like a prisoner to the rest of the world, because they'll always tell you you have to be stimulated, you have to be active, you have to be doing this, you have to be up front and center, you have to get people's attention. I'm telling you, like, you're going to hit a point where you're going to burn out. So you're going to have mental health issues. Again, you're going to be, you're going to basically pay for your psychiatrist. You're going to pay his student loans off because you're so anxious, worried, and fearful of what people think of you and what the world going around you is doing, that you won't be able to focus and concentrate on yourself. And that's not healthy. But just realize that the world in large is trying to market off of that. Remember, like I said earlier in the video, every commercial, pretty much every TV show, all these different entities, they're basically trying to tell you that you're a loser if you're alone, if you're not social, if you don't use this, just to get you to buy a product, which is really sick. Like, people will tell you that you're a lonely, boring, disgusting piece of crap just to get you to buy Crest toothpaste or Pepsi or Geico car insurance, whatever it is. And people don't catch on to it. They think it's just an innocent commercial. No, it's not innocent. They want you to buy stuff at the expense of making you feel like you're a lonely loser who's gonna die unhappy, unmarried, a virgin, and never associate with anybody unless you wear this brand of clothing or use this cologne or use this hair product or shampoo. Like, that's what these commercials do. And everything around you, again, feeds into that loneliness. You have to be part of some cause. You got to be an activist. That's the only way that you're going to find meaning in your life. You have to fight against everyone because everyone's against you. You have to be fearful of everyone because, hey, we got this Facebook group or we got this group of followers where everyone is fearful of a whole bunch of people. Let's all join together and just be fearful and mad at everybody and join in together so you won't be lonely. What if you realize that there really isn't anything to fear because I don't fear the person who can harm the body. I only fear the person who can harm the body and destroy the soul in hell. In other words, I only fear, hold reverence to, and take seriously God, regardless of what all these people think. And when you shift to that mindset, you'll realize something. Suddenly, you don't have to tweak and adjust the person that you really are, that God created you to be, just to appeal to somebody else. And then you'll be comfortable in situations where you're the only one taking a stand or standing firm for something, because you know that God is on your side. And you don't have to change and convince yourself. You don't have to convince yourself, well, I got to do this because, all my friends do this, or everyone in my race does this, or everyone in my political party does that. No, you can be your own person because you're not fearful of being lonely. And trust me, once people realize that they can't dangle that over you, a lot of them will probably walk away. And if you just stick around, they will really resonate with you. But most of them, they'll walk away because they're cowards and they can't stand a person that has enough backbone to fear God and not fear man, and be comfortable with the fact that having conviction and standing firm will make them quote unquote lonely sometimes. Please think about what I said, guys. I hope it resonates with you. I know this video was a little longer, but care about y'all. God bless you. Peace.